Hello, you all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, I got to thinking about soap operas today, if you can believe it. You know, I grew up on soap operas, and we only had one channel with rabbit ears. And I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I ran home from school, came home from school, and I was kind of one of those latchkey kids because my mom was a single mom and she was going to nursing school. And I would come home and wait for her to come home. And we had one channel with rabbit ears, and there was a soap opera called Another World. And so at 6 years old, which wasn't good for a 6-year-old, I started watching this show. This is like in 1964, 1965. And I mean, it ended up, long story short, those people became my new family. They were like family to me. And I really got attached to all the characters. And this is as a small child. So even today, I wear my hair like one of the original stars on the show. I'm still stuck in the 60s, I guess. Teased look, the whole bit, you know. And so then, a little bit later, I picked up with Days of Our Lives, and then I picked up with Dark Shadows. And let me tell you, I was obsessed with Dark Shadows. I mean, I had to know what was happening to Barnabas and Maggie Evans. And, you know, it took me many, many years before I figured out, because we went on vacation and I missed what happened to Maggie Evans when she got locked in the dungeon type of thing. And then she escaped. I never figured out how she escaped until one day I got on YouTube 40 years later and found out the answer to that. It was wonderful. I was so excited. I now knew the answer to a question I had forever. But I loved Dark Shadows. I loved all about Dark Shadows. So I grew up on Dark Shadows, would run home. By then we had 13 channels. I think we had cable, the beginning of cable back then. And then after that, The Young and Restless came about, and I actually got to work on Days of Our Lives in the very, very early 80s. I don't know if it was 80, 81, 82, in that time frame when I lived in California. Very brief part in Days of Our Lives, but that was a long, long, long time ago. So I actually grew up on a show on TV, and then I got to meet some of the people. So that was really, really cool. And that was interesting how that whole thing came about. And that's a whole nother wonderful, fun video, all good. And so anyhow, I grew up on soap operas, and you know, soap operas, and then later, All My Children. Oh my gosh, Erica Kane, loved, and Opal Gardner, the original one. Oh, loved her. And I even liked the new one a lot too. She was very good. But the crazy Opal Gardner, you know, trashy Opal Gardner, loved, and Bad Tad, remember Bad Tad? So I love soap operas, and now most of them are gone. Not that I really stuck with them later on in life. I really didn't. I, you know, kind of got in my own life and was busy. My own soap opera, but it was a good soap opera. And so, you know, I kind of, then they all just started getting canceled. And I think what happened to them is, you know, they would bring characters in and get rid of characters, and there was no continuity and no family anymore. Like the original soap operas that I grew up with had family, and you felt like they were your family. And then what happened was they no longer, hey, somebody just came in the door. And so they had no family. And, you know, now it was just like a bunch of different characters coming and going. And so I think that's what happened. And then they blamed it on that the characters didn't have any more storyline. Well, whose fault was it? It was the writers. They should have fired the writers instead of the characters. But anyhow, that's another story. But I loved soap operas. I grew up on them. From my house to yours, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.